Hello Trekkies and welcome back with another video of TREKKERPRISE. Well, today we're going to talk about the second short trek episode called Calypso, the one that features this new character Croft and features the discovery 1000 years in the future. Everyone thinks it's a really good episode and we'll be going deep into the future of Star Trek, and we're going to see something revolutionary, something new, because short treks the first time we didn't get it right with Runaway, but with this episode we might get a chance to actually see something cool and interesting. That didn't happen. So first off, I think Calypso fall into the same trap as Runaway did, 15 minutes, and that's not really enough for having an episode. Short treks, we kinda can, argue about it. It give us some Trek good, but it doesn't really live up to anything that we think about Star Trek, and it doesn't really feel right. In the previous episode we have many issues like Tilly being disobeying orders and not reporting this character who came aboard the ship, and no one noticed anything unusual when this creature comes aboard the ship, not even the so clever Discovery, as it turns out is in this episode. Obviously we're talking about 1000 years and Discovery had time to actually evolve, but let's talk about it a bit later. So the plot itself was really simple. Croft, who stole a shuttlecraft from the enemy, they apparently having a war because he's a soldier, as we got to know in the episode. He's drifting away watching Betty Boop. Wow, such an interesting thing to watch. And the first thing that we got to see about Betty Boop is the when they carrying her away in a casket, and that kind of resembled the fact that Croft was in this vessel, in this shuttlecraft, just like drifting away. Kinda dead, kinda not dead. I didn't watch that much Betty Boop, so I don't know what happened with her. So the shuttlecraft drifts nearby Discovery, the ship brings him in, and the ship actually heals Croft himself as well. Croft basically ends up in Discovery and they have a chat with the computer like, who are you, what are you, where are you leading me? And basically they end up in a mess hall where he actually gonna have a meal, and they have a really interesting conversation, Croft and the computer. Now we got to know that the computer and the Discovery actually stranded in that one point in the universe for 1000 years, nearly 1000 years, because the last captain of the Discovery actually gave an order to the Discovery to stay there no matter what. It's almost like you give an order to a dog and the dog just sits there whatever happens, and you know, you're a really loyal dog to actually do that, to stay there for 1000 years. The Discovery is a really clever dog because she actually sat there and she didn't move. She didn't disobey any order that her previous owner actually gave. So when they had the conversation there, as it turned out, Croft wants to go back to Alcor 4 to see his family and go back to his family, and then you live happily after, because he wanted to get out from the war and he doesn't really want to become the part of the war, and he wants to see and reunite with his family, which is totally normal and fine. But he trapped in Discovery. He wants to get to see the ship, the bridge. Zora actually leads him to the bridge. He ends up in the bridge. He finds out, hey, Alcor 4 is just like a drop away, so why don't we just go there? And then Zora was like, no, I got an order like 1000 years ago and I can't really disobey it, so sorry, but you kind of stuck here with me. The one thing that really bugs me, that he's a soldier and he said not really a good one, so I would assume he really wants to go back to his family. He will do something to the Discovery to actually get out, talk to the computer, or store a shuttlecraft, or go into the system. Just do something that you can do to actually get to your point. I mean, you're a human being, you're a soldier, for crying out loud, and you're just like, yeah, whatever, you know, if you're not gonna go, I'm just gonna stay here and eat, watch some movies, and at the end I'm just gonna learn how to dance, because that's so fun as well. So I don't really understand why he just settled with the thought like, yo, if you're not gonna go anywhere because you got an order from a captain who died 1000 years ago, I'm not gonna go anywhere too, so I'm just gonna stay here and just try to enjoy the time that we can spend together until I die. Which I kind of find he gave it up so quickly. Obviously, when we think about giving up so quickly and going on with his life in Discovery, or going on with his life in general without his family, that's a long process, and in 15 minutes we don't really have that much time to actually see this evolution, or you know, how he actually turned into that person who accepts like, yeah, okay, well, I'm basically in a prison, but I try to make the best of my time, so you know, we'll see what's gonna happen, and if my prison girl let me go one day, then you know, I will be just grateful because she or he helped me on the way. So interesting and confusing at the same time. And okay, I do understand that in Next Generation there was an episode when Captain Picard ended up in a dream for half an hour outside his body, but in his memory he actually relived he lived the rest of his life happily, and he had children and whatsoever. But even that, for 45 minutes we got to see him struggling at the really beginning of the transition, like, yo, I'm not from here, I'm pretty sure I'm born in France, in planet Earth, I don't know you, I never had a wife, I never had kids, I never been planning to do this, what the hell where the hell am I? So he was actually still struggling at the beginning, and he really wanted to get out from the planet, and he wanted to get in touch with the Enterprise. He thought of every different scenario. I didn't really feel this much struggle with Croft, and I thought he might going to do something like that. He might going to find out, like, hey, how can I actually get out from this ship? Just like when we seen in the movie Passengers, when the Chris Pratt character actually stuck in the ship, and it's like, okay, I'm not gonna live like 90 years because my body's broken, but yo, it took a while that he actually realized, okay, I can actually enjoy this and just, you know, do what I want, which led to other difficult situations. But I'm not here to talk about Passengers today. So let's talk a bit about Zora, because Croft, it's a bit of an interesting story, but Zora itself is an interesting story too. So the Discovery computer got an order from her former captain 1,000 years ago, and she actually stopped there in that place for 1,000 years. Now I don't really know where the ship actually ends up staying for 1,000 years, but I have no idea how no one actually been able to detect the Discovery. I mean, there wasn't even a Romulan vessel, a Klingon ship, or a Borg vessel, or even the Federation. If the Discovery like got to stop there, no one really went and look after it. So I kind of don't really understand why the Discovery had to be part of this, why it wasn't a new ship. With the set they could have done something different, but having the Discovery there stranded for like 1,000 years in a special part of space, I don't really see that logical. The second part is the artificial intelligence. Now, at the beginning of season 1, Discovery didn't really have anything evolved computer, just like we got to see in the original series when the M4 came on. But the M4 was the really intelligent supercomputer that the Enterprise didn't have. And then Discovery is supposed to be before the original series, and the M4 is supposed to come way after the original series actually started. So I can imagine the Discovery along the way got upgraded and got an M4. So I kind of accept that. Just don't really feel how the computer and artificial intelligence actually can be in that place, and just not thinking logically, like, hey, shouldn't I look for something, or shouldn't I do something with myself just in staying in one place? I mean, that's just silly. And at the end, Croft really felt compassionate about Discovery, and then, you know, because Discovery basically, Zora basically treats him really well, feeds him and provides him entertainment and stuff. Croft really wanted to do something to pay her back for her service. So he started to learn dancing, and he kind of learns dancing in a ship, and then they have a dance in a bridge with a holographic image of projection of Zora, who she actually imagined herself from over 1,000 years. And then they have a dance, and then they actually realize, hey, I actually fall in love with you, but that's not right because I have a family. Well, good that you came to the conclusion because you had a family before you end up in Discovery, but you kind of forgot about it. So like, how is that happening? Like, it's still, and then their survival and escape instinct just came back to Croft like so sudden, like, yo, I'm actually falling in love with a computer, but I have a wife and a kid that I really want to see, and I really wanted to see from a long time now, so what the hell am I doing here? And the computer felt compassionate about it, and it's like, you know what, okay, I think it's time for you to go and not to break both of our hearts. There's a shuttlecraft in the shuttle bay that sits there for 1,000 years. Again, there's no rust in space. I mean, I know there's no rust in space and nothing getting rusty in space, but inside the ship, nothing really, you know, I just don't really get that in 1,000 years. But maybe I'm wrong, just let me know in the comment section below. So he jumps out from Discovery and he goes back to Alco 4, and Discovery just stays there for God knows how long. But at the beginning we see her in a kind of a nebulous sort of environment, and then at the end of the episode the shuttlecraft just like jumps out from the shuttle bay, and then, yo, it's not a nebula anymore. So it's kind of uncertain what's the Discovery doing in that position, in that place, and why no one actually noticed that in 1,000 years. Maybe Captain Picard in the new show will collect the Discovery in the future and go back to the past and then do something crazy. No one knows, but maybe that's gonna be the plot for the new Picard show. So the much I was really looking forward to this episode, the much I was kind of disappointed. So it's not just because of the showtime, because as I mentioned, I understand we're dealing with 15-minute episodes. It doesn't really have that much space to actually go on with many things and you know, have a character more evolved and more developed over 15 minutes. We used to have a whole season for these sort of things, and even in an episode we get more connected with a character when we have like 45 minutes, and even with a B-plot character we got more compassionate because we got to know more things. But I think with this kind of character stories, they try to push too much into a short amount of time, and they use the resources differently. I would have imagined Kraft being a soldier kind of type of guy who really wants to get out from Discovery, even going to a certain point when he was actually destroying Discovery, and then, you know what, hell out of you, I mean, I want to get back to my family. Like, if I would be in a situation, I would do whatever I can at the very beginning to get out. Okay, you can say that we didn't see this part because, you know, fast forwarding like that scene that we saw in the mess hall, it's like he's going around and just eating all the time. But again, eating tacos and waffles and going dancing and watching movies and eating popcorn, that's not something that I would have expected from a soldier who really wants to get back to his planet and for his family. And I'm not trying to be really overly critical about this episode, because I know we're talking about 15 minutes again for the 1500th times, but it just doesn't really feel right. It doesn't really feel it justifies the fact that, okay, it's gonna be Star Trek, it's gonna be part of the story, but it's just doesn't feel right. Hopefully the 2 new episodes, the Saru episode will give us more on Saru, and in the Mud episode we're gonna see more on Mud himself as well. So I'm really optimistic still, even though I didn't really enjoy this episode as much. Although before I go away, there's one thing that I wanted to say, positive things about to say this episode, is the scene when Kraft walks into the bridge and he's kind of there, and you know, the whole bridge from the darkness just started to lit up, and that music just comes in from the background with a little piano solo with the Discovery theme tune. Now that was a really well made scene. I really enjoyed that moment when we got to see that that lights coming up and the music coming in. So yes, that was my short, quick review slash reaction on Star Trek Discovery Short Treks Episode 2 Calypso. Please let me know in the comment section below if you like this episode, if you didn't like this episode, or if you agree or disagree with me. You're probably gonna disagree with me, but again, this is just my opinion, not an official report from anywhere. So please let me know your thoughts in the comment section below about this episode, and we have a discussion about it. As always, thank you very much for watching, and please don't forget to like and share the video, and don't forget to subscribe to receive all the geekiness every week. And until next time, live long and prosper.